The 2023 NBA draft is considered one of the deepest in recent history. Not only do you have multiple once-in-a-generation type of players at the top of the draft, but you also have plenty of talented guys sprinkled throughout even the second round. And so when you have so many talented guys, it's inevitable some of them will get lost in the sauce, but that doesn't mean they aren't fantastic players. And one guy in particular is someone that's not getting the recognition he deserves, and seems largely unknown by the general populace that's looking at this upcoming draft, even though he's been second team All-CC and even dropped 32 points in March Madness. All signs point to him being a steal this year. And his name is Terquavion Smith. How's it going, my friend? I'm Alexander from Load Management Media, and let's talk about it. Smith is a 6'4", 165-pound guard who played 2 years at North Carolina State before entering and keeping his name in the NBA draft. Over his 2 seasons in college, he averaged 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, shooting 39% from the field and 35% from 3. Solid numbers for sure. Terquavion Smith is someone who has some of the most raw talent in the entire draft, and his greatest strength is his athleticism and body control. Despite only being 6'4" and 165 pounds soaking wet, he can take contact and finish with incredible strength. Whether it's against guards or 7-foot big men, he has no problem bumping and scoring with the biggest and the best of them. His finishing ability reminds me a lot of Ja Morant actually. The way they're both very small with really thin, wiry frames, but they can take contact against some of the biggest bigs in the league, hang in the air, and finish with relative ease. And that's a super good guy to be compared to coming into the draft. He's one of the best finishers in the entire league. Terq is also just a smooth scorer. He's got a super smooth jumper, and he's been able to hit consistently over his 2 years in college, at around 35% overall. Although he shot it much better in his first year at 37%, he still shot it pretty well for college this year at 34% in a super high volume role, shooting 8 attempts per game over his 2 collegiate seasons. That volume and that percentage is really good. His 3-point shooting skill is a skill that should translate nicely to the NBA because he's been able to shoot and make a lot of shots off the catch in college, which is something he's probably going to be doing a lot more in the NBA next to some more lead guards. But he's also had a super high volume role at NC State, so he's made a ton of pull-up threes this year, and his shot creation is super good out to 3. But he's also got some other unique ways to score in his arsenal as well. Smith loves to get to his pull-up mid-range or even his floater in the lane. He's even got a pretty nice handle that can allow him to get to some spots. Really, his offensive bag is limitless, if I'm being honest. Man, I love this guy. He's so good. While last year he didn't do much assisting of the ball, this year his playmaking went up quite a bit, and that's something that should impress a lot of teams considering the role he was playing last year and his team's record. Defensively as well, he's not too bad. He averaged 1.4 steals a game, and he's super good at getting his hands into the cookie jar there and stealing the ball away from guys off the ball or even on the ball. On the ball, he's decent and he can stay in front of most of his men, but in the NBA, I'm not sure how his on-ball defense is going to translate considering he has such a thin, wiry frame, so he might get bullied off the ball a little bit, but we'll see. Nonetheless, Terq has an extremely big skill set and a bunch of things that should be super exciting to teams in the NBA that would love to take a look at him and pick him. And he's even performed on his biggest stage yet. While NC State was pretty bad last year, finishing last in the ACC, this year they were much better, ending with a 12-8 record, putting them 6th in the ACC and an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. Although they lost 72-63 to Creighton in the first round of the NCAA tournament, Terquavion put up arguably the best performance in the entire NCAA tournament. And every time I was watching him score in that game, I just got so excited. Like, the things he was doing in that game had me and a bunch of other people amazed. He scored 32 points in that first round game against Creighton and kept NC in the game the whole time. He had a crazy block and even a poster against 7'1" Ryan Kalkbrenner of Creighton. Take a look.
Point Burns is going to have to roll to the basket.
Yikes. head top, bro. Jeez. This guy is talented for sure. In his 2 years in college, he's shown enough skills and enough things that should excite a bunch of NBA teams and front offices. In year 1, his team was pretty garbage and his assist numbers weren't that great, but he scored the ball super well and was pretty efficient. But this year, he increased his scoring even more, his assist numbers got better, and his team got a lot better, but his efficiency dropped a bit. So that's the trade-off in his 2 years in college, but he's shown definitely enough to make people really excited about what they'd be getting with him if they picked him. Right now, Terq is projected to go somewhere between the late first round to the early to mid second round. He's had a decent combine as well, including a 20-point game in the third scrimmage. Last year though, after his impressive freshman season, he entered the draft and he was mocked to go somewhere around the 20th pick, which is higher than this year, but he went back to NC to improve his team's record. And he wanted to leave a bit more of a legacy on his hometown college. But the fact that he pretty much had a better year this year, but he actually dropped from where he's going to get picked just shows how deep this draft really is. In the NBA, I see him being a Malik Monk type of player, somebody who's super valuable, a perfect sixth man off the bench, but can also slide into the starting lineup and play big minutes when you really need him to. But in my opinion, with his improved playmaking, his shooting, and his scoring arsenal, he's got the potential to be a 20-point per game scorer in the league and a third option on a championship team if he really reaches his ceiling. I think my Grizzlies would be a great place for him coming off the bench, but other spots like Utah with their later first round pick, or even Toronto if they could get a late second, would be super great fits for him. Terquavion Smith has been largely unknown by most and is flying under the radar, but I think he could be a great steal for the right team in this upcoming NBA draft and be somebody that a lot of people wish they could have picked. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see some more original content on everything NBA related, then this is the place for you. I'm going to be putting out at least 2 pieces of NBA content a week, so if that interests you, consider hitting a like and a sub. And as always, stay rested. See you in the next one.